Good evening. Thank you for tuning into PhillyCAM Voices. I am your host, Amanda Johnson. For Philadelphia's new municipal photo ID card. The cards are meant for people who don't have other forms of identification, such as driver's license. Reporters Dennis Links has more.
This spring, the City of Philadelphia launched its Municipal ID program. It's intended to provide a form of identification for city residents who can't readily obtain state-issued IDs due to immigration status, financial situation, or other circumstances. A municipal ID will enable entry to city buildings, access to social services, and making application for opportunities such as housing and jobs. Known as PHL City ID, the program operates from room 167 in City Hall, but also plans mobile sites to reach citizens within their communities. Anyone over 13 can apply, by appointment, or by designated walk-in days. Each card will show the cardholder's name, address, date of birth, and self-described gender. It'll feature a unique ID number along with issue and expiration date. The cost is $5 for those 13 to 17 years old, $10 for those 18 to 64, and free to those 65 or older. PhillyCAM Voices spoke to the director of the program, Amy Eusebio, who outlined the process and the documents required for submission.
The way the program works is it's a 4-point system to apply. You need to provide 3 points worth of identity, 1 point proof of address, but you need to prove identity and residence. You need to apply in person. We take a photo, we take a signature, and then we collect payment. So the other incentive of this program is that it's a low-cost option for a government ID.
Many citizens are concerned about the privacy of the documents they provided. Ms. Eusebio spoke to that concern.
What we've committed to is turning off the feature that saves information when we scan. So when we scan a document, it does not save any information about it. It just verifies that it's authentic, whether or not it's expired. And then once we issue the ID to somebody, at the moment, as soon as it prints, we hand it over to them. We ask folks to review it to make sure the information is accurate based on what they wanted on it. Because at the moment when they tell me yes, I hit the yes on the system and it automatically deletes a lot of information.
Because of the low barrier cost to receive an ID, will the project be sustainable in the long run?
We feel pretty confident about our budget and the sustainability of the program based on that. And then the fees, though, doesn't cover the full expense of the program, offsets the cost to be able to replace things like cards.
So far, the program has issued over 1,000 IDs, with a goal to reach 10,000 in the first year. Maria Serna, a community and immigrant activist, is happy with her ID and working to spread the word in her community.
I told with everybody, and I showed the ID. I explained how this works and how you can support the municipal ID.
For PhillyCAM Voices, this is Dennis Link.
Response to this program has been heavy. Appointments for May are booked. The program is promoting Wednesdays as walk-in days. Plus, the city commissioners and the law departments are discussing whether to accept the municipal ID program for voting. For more information, go to www.phila.gov/PHLCITYID. Congresswoman and Villanova University are sounding the alarm about sex trafficking in Philadelphia. They recently held an event at the elementary school in Southwest Philadelphia to alert parents and their children. Reporter Bailey Cornock was there.
On Tuesday, April 23rd, members of the Southwest Philadelphia community gathered at the Richard Allen Preparatory School for a community conversation surrounding sex trafficking. State Representative Joanna McClinton explains why she felt this event was important to host.
This event was important to have tonight because so often on social media, you'll see a poster, so-and-so is a missing child, and many times it's recently been in Southwest and West Philadelphia. So when Shay reached out to me about the idea, I said, well, it's perfect. We need to have a community meeting. We need to raise the awareness on trafficking, because what people think trafficking is or where they think it occurs, it's not actually true. It's happening, sadly, in many of our backyards.
The event began by introducing featured guests, including Shay Rhodes, an attorney specializing in prostitution and sex trafficking cases, as well as the founder of the Commercial Sexual Exploitation Institute at Villanova Law School. Next, they showed an animated film designed to help middle schoolers identify potential threats and warning signs within their community. Lawrence Jones, principal and CEO of Richard Allen Charter School, spoke to us about what he felt was the most important takeaway from tonight's event.
It can happen to them, and it's not like on TV. I mean, it's not going to be some bad person grabs you. It's going to be somebody who, like they said, entices you and uses some trickery and preys on your vulnerability in a bad way.
To conclude the event, community members were able to ask questions to Shay, Representative McClinton, as well as members of the Philadelphia Police Department and other organizations providing resources to survivors, such as Ariel Curry from Salvation Army, who provided us with details about how they are working to improve this issue.
We provide intensive, comprehensive case management services to survivors of trafficking. We lead the Philadelphia Anti-Trafficking Task Force, the Special Victims Unit, as well as provide basic necessities and a safe space for women in Kensington.
It was a successful night in Southwest Philadelphia, with many members of the community coming out to educate themselves and their children on the important and relevant issue of sex trafficking. I'm Bailey Cornog reporting for PhillyCAM Voices.
The hotline to report human trafficking is 1-888-373-7888. Or if you'd like more information, go to humantraffickinghotline.org. A bill is in the works to legalize marijuana for adult use in Pennsylvania. Reporter Darrell Lloyd takes a look at what it could mean for minorities in our communities.
The cannabis industry is about to change the United States as we know it. It has been a topic of discussion within the political, medical, and social circles. Penalties in Pennsylvania, where this is a misdemeanor, are 30 grams or less, up to 30 days of incarceration, and up to $500 fine. For more than 30 grams, up to 1 year of incarceration, and up to $5,000 fine. On April 6, 2019, the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists held a forum to discuss and learn about the cannabis industry and how it will impact the nation, Pennsylvania, and the Philadelphia region.
Today's legalization movement provides countless opportunities for journalists to hold the industry and the government accountable. There's so many stories that we can be telling right now.
The discussion helped to clarify the differences in the legal terms, plus the uses of cannabis.
Sativa is the broad name for the plant that encompasses hemp and all the other words that we use for the plant. And marijuana was a Spanish word that was used to describe the plant that ended up being criminalized by Henry Anslinger in the early 1900s, specifically to target folks that were of brown descent, whether that be black or Latino or anything in between.
So when you're talking in research terms, you talk about marijuana, it's really any green leafy vegetable material that's consumed for the purposes of intoxication.
State Representative Jordan Harris talked about the ramifications at the state level in Harrisburg.
Is legal for those who go to a doctor, get a recommendation, and then apply for a card through the Department of Health. They can go to dispensaries that we've licensed in Pennsylvania. They can purchase cannabis and consume that cannabis for medical purposes.
He is a big advocate of decriminalizing cannabis.
But I believe that we should go further. I believe it's time to fully legalize cannabis, for adult use cannabis in Pennsylvania. But not only fully legalize it, it's also time for us to clean up the criminal records of those who have been convicted and or have served time with regards to the possession and sale of cannabis.
While the state debates the issue of legalization and decriminalization, various agencies in the Philadelphia area are preparing for the upcoming changes. Sharon Perry Thomas, a co-founder of DACO in Philadelphia, says she wants the cannabis industry to be more inclusive.
We feel that as Black and brown people, we are the global majority. A lot of times in this cannabis space, what you hear is minority. And in this space, when it comes to minority conversations, it ends up boiling down to white women.
State Representative Harris agrees the industry needs to be more inclusive.
So if we're going to fully legalize it, we have to strengthen our legislation around real inclusion when it comes to people being able to take part in the business aspect of cannabis. But the other thing is we have to lower the threshold for getting involved in the first place.
Now that the states of New Jersey and Delaware have been considering the legalization process, Pennsylvania's Lieutenant Governor, John Fetterman, has been holding meetings to get information on the possible legalization of cannabis in Pennsylvania.
Whites and African Americans use it roughly at the same rates, yet African Americans are 4 times more likely to be arrested and charged for its use.
This is Darryl Lloyd for PhillyCAM Voices.
Juneteenth is a commemoration marking the end of slavery in the United States. It is recognized all across the country, and there will be a celebration here in Philadelphia next month. Reporter Connie Combe has a preview.
The Juneteenth celebration is returning to Philadelphia, packed with sights and sounds. The festival is from June 12th through June 22nd and will commemorate when the slaves of Texas were freed 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Executive producer Kofi Asante says this year's festival will be bigger and better.
Wednesday, June the 12th, we will be doing a national teleconference. And the subject matter, again, is should we have an African American Declaration of Independence and making Juneteenth a national day of observance. On June the 13th, we will be having a panel discussion. That panel discussion is entitled 400 Years a Slave, Where Do We Go From Here? On June the 14th, we will be in Center City doing our Honoring the Ancestors wreath ceremony right in 5th and 6th Market, right next to the Liberty Bell. On the 15th, of course, will be the Victory 400 Grand Parade and Unity Fest. Right now, at the same day, on the 15th, in Germantown will be the Johnson's House Juneteenth Festival. Then on June the 19th, we'll be going to Harrisburg to push the idea of making Juneteenth a state official holiday. On the 22nd, there will be the Juneteenth parade on 52nd Street. And 52nd Street is now being labeled the Muhammad Ali Way.
Why is this event important?
Juneteenth is the oldest commemoration and celebration of the emancipation and the ending of slavery in the United States of America.
It is our history which have not been told. So being here, being part of the Juneteenth family, it's time for us to rewrite our own history.
Organizers say they're not just celebrating Juneteenth, but African Americans' first arrival as slaves 400 years ago in 1619.
But we are celebrating Victory 400, 400 years of being in America, enslaved Africans here in this country, and we have survived. We have survived through institutional racism, through redlining, through all the atrocities that have been forced on our people. And we're still here, we're standing, and we're just great.
I just want to encourage everybody to come to this event and come and see the artistry and pageantry of our people. There's so much talent that's going to be displayed from just all walks of life. The music, the different cultures. It's just going to be, to see it all at one time is just going to be overwhelming. And the young children and young adults should just benefit and say, oh wow, it's going to be a wow moment. So we just want to encourage everybody to come out and join in.
This is Connie Com with PhillyCAM Voices.
City Council has voted to allow Philadelphia's Gas Works to build a new addition to its South Philadelphia property. Our Daryl Matthews reports on the plant that will make liquefied natural gas.
The city is making changes unforeseen by most in the upcoming years. Philadelphia Gas Works, right behind me, has been approved to build a liquefied natural gas production facility. Although the concrete decision has been made by City Council, residents close to the power plant aren't pleased. PGW is the largest city-owned gas utility in the country. As of yet, no set date for the project has come to surface, but mixed feelings have.
I think it's unfortunate, though, that there are some, negative side effects that they weren't accounting for. Obviously, it being close to a residential area is going to sort of crowd out some people, which obviously we don't want. And the fact that we might actually be bringing more smog into the city, making everything less green.
Well, I think of the project in South Philly, I don't really see the issue with it. Especially if it's like tests being done where it won't affect the local community and it's good for the local, economy, putting people in jobs, and I don't see no issue with it.
350 Philadelphia strategist and member Ms. Channon feels there are better solutions to improve the city.
I think the mayor is implementing some good policies to protect climate change, to protect people's health by reducing pollution. But I think that he is pursuing, unfortunately, a kind of all of the above policy where he's promoting both renewable energy and giving his support to fossil fuel projects. And I feel like it's one step forward and one step back.
On their website, PGW states that natural gas is a more greener and more efficient option in the home. We reached out to them for a comment, but no response.
But it's also not going to succeed if we're serious about protecting a livable climate. If we do what we need to do to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, there can't be a market for this gas. So we need a different solution to help people pay their utility bills.
While there's local and national debate, a fuel emission is still in fight. Individuals choose alternatives to better the city's air. For PhillyCAM Voices, I'm Daryl Matthews.
Recently, the Workers' Memorial Day was held to remember those killed by work-related injuries last year. And Philadelphia has been recognized for the past 31 years. Here to tell us more is Jim Moran, former director of PhillyPASH and the founder of the Workers' Memorial Day program here in Philadelphia. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Good to be here.
We are glad to have you. Now, how did this day get started in the United States?
Well, it actually was in Canada first. And what it's about, why it's on April 28th, it's the birthday of OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Act and Administration. It's now honored around the world. It's a global day of recognizing those who were killed at work and those who were injured at work as well, with the additional problem of work-related disease killing people. So, for example, when we started out 31 years ago, well, actually, PhillyPASH is 44 years old. Mm-hmm. There were 10,000 workers a year killed outright on the job, and about 100,000 who died from work-related disease. Now that's been cut back a lot because there's been much more attention paid to safety on the job. And groups like PhillyPASH, COSH groups in general, that's Coalitions on Occupational Safety and Health, we pull together a lot of unions and others other organizations to strengthen our arguments for safer workplaces, to support the union in its fight for safe workplaces, to support OSHA in its job of policing America's workplaces, which there's so few inspectors. It will take them 125 years to see each workplace once. So it takes action on the ground. It takes workers being better educated around these issues and preventive. We feel that even now, where it's down from 10,000 workers killed each year to about 4,000, that's way too many. And we believe they're all preventable with the right training, with the right equipment, those kinds of things, education. We can prevent these injuries and deaths and so forth. And so we've come a long way over the last 4 decades or so. And again, it's something recognized around the world, Workers' Memorial Day. It's a problem that's always with us.
So how are you getting the word out to people that may not be familiar with their roles or their rights with their workplace?
We hold an event each year. For example, we held it the other Friday on the 26th, although the 28th is the date. That fell on a Sunday, so we did it on the Friday. At the Sheet Metal Workers Hall on Columbus Boulevard, Local 19, we had several hundred labor leaders together there, along with government officials, and we co-sponsor the event with the Philadelphia AFL-CIO. And last year we had Governor Wolf there to speak, and this year there were city officials there to speak. So, and it was recorded and documented in the Philadelphia Inquirer and so forth. So that's one way. And that event there has breakfast and then a march to Penn's Landing. Now this year we got rained out. The march to Penn's Landing usually has us throw flowers in the river and read out the names of those killed in our area, killed at work. There were more than 100 just in our area. And we have a coffin there, and the flowers are thrown in the river as life goes on and so forth and so on. But it's an important event to wake people up about this issue.
So we talk about Memorial Day with talking about the injuries and the deaths. How is that compared to May Day?
Okay, May Day is on a different issue. May Day began in 1886. It was around the fight for the 8-hour day. Okay, and there was a famous incident called the Haymarket riot, where somebody threw a bomb at this rally, which killed some police. And the police opened fire, killed some protesters, and wounded 200. The reason for the rally was a day or two prior to that. The AFL called May 1st, in 1886, a national strike to win the 8-hour day, okay? Now, they went out on strike across the country. Some cities were shut down. At one place called McCormick Reaper, they made farm implements. Large facility outside Chicago. A couple of workers were shot to death on the picket line by the police. In protest of that, workers organized a rally in Chicago in the Haymarket. This holiday, May Day, started in the United States. It's American as apple pie. It is now honored in more than 100 countries around the world. May 1st is a day to honor all workers, okay? But back to the Haymarket, there were 8 martyrs that came out of that. They got the organizers, they arrested the organizers because of the bomb and the death of police. And the organizers were, for example, Albert Parsons, August Spies, Adolf Fischer, George Engel, all hanged because of that. They were convicted of conspiracy that resulted in the death of a policeman. but they really were tried because of their political beliefs. And they argued that it was a free speech. Their speeches supposedly were so fiery that it inspired the violence and deaths that followed. And they were convicted on that basis. And 4 of them hung. 7 were originally sentenced to death. They were later pardoned. Michael Schwab and Samuel Fielden, Oscar Neebe. They received pardons from the governor of Illinois, who knew that the trial was a farce. It was a fraud. And these men were murdered really by the state wrongfully. Louis Ling, who was sentenced to death, killed himself to cheat the hangman. So that incident became what they call the Haymarket Martyrs. They are honored around the world, in every country just about, but ours, where it started. So we have been, of late, organizing an event, we're in our 12th year, to educate the public, to educate the politicians, to educate the media about the history of May Day, which most people say, I never heard that story. I never heard that.
Well, we know that everyone's watching now. They've heard it. Now.
It's been removed from the history books. And, you know, so in America, I doubt if there's more than 10 or 15 little events around the country. It's really not recognized. Right. And we're trying to breathe some life into that.
Right.
Because we also feel that when people learn that they've been cheated on that issue, there are many other issues. For example, Black history, women's history, Irish history, you had to fight to get them.
I totally agree, because if you're missing that, you're missing something else, chances, right?
That's right. So,
how could people get in contact with or learn more about Philipposh?
215-301-2633 is my direct number, and or Philipposh is 215-386-7000 to reach the Philipposh office.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for your time and your history lesson. And thank you for tuning in to PhillyCAM Voices. You can find us on YouTube, Roku, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And see you next time.